was an island. Cheetahs and lions are killed for their coats. And antelope and gazelles are trapped in snares, their meat illegally sold. It is my job to protect all the animals of this reserve. That is why I ask all of you to please join us in our battle against poaching. Wamacho or Wajangili, crocodiles or poachers. Only by working together can we maintain Harambe as a safe haven for all these animals.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kilimanjaro Safari. Before you begin your trip, you should know that the Kilimanjaro Wildlife Reserve has rock and rock activation. You may experience bombs and some children safari adventure. To ensure a safe and pleasant trip, you should be in good health and free from high blood pressure, heart, and problems, motion sickness, or other conditions that could be aggravated by this adventure. Expecting others should not ride. Once a boat is turned, safari. Bienvenidos a las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del vehículo. Y cuiden sus niños. Gracias. Before you begin your trip, you should know.
It does get a little bit funky out there on the reserve, especially in some areas of slightly rougher terrain. And please do make sure you're all safe and fully seated. That does include any younger explorers aboard your last night. I need a new thing. Our feet are like down inside the vehicle.
Yes, they do not comply will be asked to leave. Please abide by the maintain this.
I can't wait to see
and like the doors are sliding closed. Asante Sana Warden, as we like to sing here in Harambe to one day, which means let's go. Jumbo friends, my name is Amanda and I will be your safari guide. As a reminder, please remain seated, keep your arms, hands, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Also, please make sure to keep your face coverings on at all times as well, making sure they cover from your nose all the way down to your chin. If you have any loose items you would like to keep, I highly suggest you store them away or have a really good grip. Because if you drop anything from the truck, I cannot stop and get it for you, but please do let me know so I can call someone else, and hopefully that someone else can retrieve your item for you. If you're planning on taking pictures, I recommend using a sports action mode to get the best out of your pictures. There's an animal spotting guide up above your heads, which will help you determine which kinds of animals we will be looking for. On the right hand side, you should be able to see an okapi almost kind of hiding. Okapis are the only living relative of the giraffe, and they have a prehensile tongue, which is a fancy way of saying that they can use their tongue kind of how like we can use our fingers. Then coming up on the left-hand side of the truck are some bongos. They are known as the ghost of the forest, because they can easily run through the forest and not get tangled. There's also a greater kudu laying down on the left-hand side. Other friends, everyone has to remain seated. Other friends, everyone has to be seated, please. Hi, buddy.
What else was on the left-hand side over here?
There was their white deer.
Oh, okay.
Coming up on the left-hand side is a black rhino. Black rhinos weigh about 3,000 pounds. It is going to be the smaller of the rhino species here on the reserve. And they also have a prehensile pointed upper lip, which is a fancy way of saying that their lips are designed to make it much easier for them to be able to eat.
Get ready for the lions, y'all.
Come right up to the van.
We're high enough, but they just walked at the bottom.
Yeah, they don't really jump into it.
On the left-hand side, there's going to be a saddle-built horse. That's going to be the black and white bird hanging out. It has a saddle-shaped shield on its beak, which is how it partially got its name. It also has a 9-foot wingspan, which is about the same width of the canopy on the truck. Coming up on the right-hand side is going to be a hippo. Hippos do prefer to spend most of their time submerged underwater because it does help them stay cool. And it may also protect them from the sun. There's also a load of hippos on the left-hand side. They can also hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time, and they much prefer to walk run along the bottom to get places instead of swimming. The gray birds hanging out on the left-hand side of the truck with the hippos, those are pink-backed pelicans. Their feathers turn pink during mating season, which is how they partially got their name. They will also nest in semi-large groups. Anywhere from 22 to 500 pelicans will all be nesting together. Coming up on the left-hand side are some Nile crocodiles.
Oh, yeah.
Nile crocodiles have enough power in their jaws to easily crush the bones of their prey. And Nile crocodiles will often have their mouths open, not necessarily because they're hungry, but probably because they are hot. They are unable to sweat, so they will open up their mouths to help regulate their body temperature. Coming up on the right-hand side of the truck is going to be a baobab tree. Baobab trees, they can easily remain leafless 9 months out of the year to help conserve water. Then they end up storing most of that water in their trunk. And in times of drought, bigger animals like elephants are able to dig into the trunk of the tree and drink the water. And here on the Savanna, there is a very unique ecosystem. Elephants will go ahead and bulldoze the trees to make it easier for them to eat. Giraffes will go ahead and prune the trees. And then the smaller-ish animals like the antelopes and cattle and zebras will go ahead and mow the grass. And always be on the lookout for animals because you'll never know what kind of hiding or snacking spots they may find.
They only eat dead things, so as long as you're alive.
On the left-hand side, they're going to be kind of hard to see, but they're laying down here in the very front are some African wild dogs, also known as painted dogs for the splotchy colors on their fur coats. Each dog does have their own unique pattern on their fur coat, just like their fingerprints. And they also hunt as a group, which is really good for them, but not so good for their prey. Because they hunt as a group, they're able to chase their prey until it drops down from exhaustion, because they can easily trade out the leader of the chase as the different dogs get tired. Then coming up on the left-hand side is going to be a sable antelope. Sable antelopes are the emblem of their Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and their horns are designed in a way that if a lion were to jump up on their back, it would not work out too well for the lion. And the mounds you see here on the Savanna, they are termite mounds. They are mostly made up of dirt and saliva, and they can become as hard as concrete when they bake in the hot Savanna sun. The bigger mounds can be used as a scratching post by bigger animals like elephants, and the smaller mounds can be used as a lookout post for smaller animals to look out for predators.
There's a giraffe, Mama. The giraffe over here next to the road. Wow. I saw it. There's one over there. Yeah, there's one ankle. That's different.
And coming up on the right-hand side, hanging out in the distance, are going to be some springboks. Those are going to be the small brown and white animals. They can easily spring up 6 feet in the air and do it repeatedly when frightened or excited. Hanging out with the springboks are some Hartman's Mountain zebras. Hartman's Mountain zebras, if you look at their muzzle, that's how you can tell their skin color versus their stripes. The zebras on reserve have a black muzzle, so they are black with white stripes. Then hanging out with the zebras and springboks are some wildebeest. Wildebeest are the only other species besides humans to live in a densely packed herd. They can live in a herd of up to 1.5 million and often migrate 500 to 1,000 miles. There's also a giraffe hanging out with them as well. Giraffes are the tallest animal in the world. A fully grown adult giraffe can stand 18 to 20 feet tall, while newborn giraffes can easily stand at 6 feet tall. On the left-hand side are some mandrill monkeys. Mandrills are the largest of the monkey species. A fully grown adult male can weigh up to 100 pounds. And males have brightly colored faces, while females have dull-colored faces. On the right-hand side is an elephant. It is more than likely a male elephant because they like to live by themselves as adults, or they can form a very loose bachelor group. As hopefully you can see, they have a prehensile trunk, which comes in very handy for the elephants because it allows them to be able to eat and drink much easier. It also allows them to communicate, and they can also throw dirt and hay up onto their backs and heads to try to prevent themselves from getting sunburnt and to stay cool. It was also discovered that elephants are afraid of bees, which has become very handy for some farmers in Africa because they had problems with the elephants running through their crops, destroying them, and probably having some snacks along the way. But the farmers were able to build beehive fences around their crops. So now the elephants stay out of their crops, and they get to harvest any good crops they manage to grow, but they also get to harvest the honey from the beehives. And hopefully the elephants are happy, because the farmers no longer have to take other actions to keep them out. It is a win-win situation. right-hand side, you should be able to see where some elephants have dug their tusks into the red clay. Elephants like eating red clay for nutrients they cannot get from other parts of their diet. Looks like we're in luck with at least one more elephant coming up on the left-hand side. Left-hand side, you should be able to see a couple more elephants hanging out. Their ears, and when they wave their ears back and forth, it helps to get their blood flowing, which then helps to cool them down. And female elephants, unlike their male counterparts, will more than likely stay with their moms for life.
Oh my god.
What? I'm an elephant?
And if you keep looking to your left, you will eventually see some greater flamingos. Greater flamingos start off gray and fluffy as chicks, and as they get older and eat more brine shrimp, which contains keratin, their feathers will turn pink over time. You still should be able to see some of the flamingo chicks hanging up, because they're still a bit gray and it's still a bit fluffy. Jumbo! The mud pit coming up on the left-hand side of the truck is a good indication that there are more rhinos nearby, because they like rolling around in the mud to help protect themselves from getting sunburned and to stay cool. So keep an eye out, because you'll never know where they may pop up at.
I see a cheetah. Yeah. Like it, yeah. See it? You see it? Is it? Yeah, girl. Mama, see a cheetah. Yes.
Coming up on the left-hand side are going to be a couple of cheetahs. Cheetahs are the fastest land animal. They can reach a top speed of 60 miles per hour. But they can only keep that top speed for a short distance because they are sprinters, not long-distance runners. It also takes them 3 seconds to reach that top speed, and they do most of their hunting during the day, which is unlike other big cats that do their hunting at night.
Yeah.
And they talk.
The rock structure coming up on the left-hand side of the truck is known as a kopie. It is a great spot to try and look out for lions, because that's where they typically live, because it usually gives them a really great view of the rest of the savanna, and it usually provides them with some shade.
Right. Do it, Dan.
The Lion King in here. The Lion King in Oh yeah, we'll come around.
If you look to your right real quick, you should be able to see a water buck or two hanging out in the bushes here. Water bucks, as their name suggests, can be found near water because they drink an unusually large amount of water for being an antelope. And they also secrete a greasy substance which is a bit smelly and it might waterproof their guts. On the left hand side, looks like all three of the lions are out. Lions are inactive 16 to 20 hours a day, and they are mostly active at night when they do most of their hunting. The females will head out in teams to do the hunting, while the male stays behind to protect the rest of the pride. In fact, that's his number one job, is to protect the rest of the family.
Oh, look at here.
Oh, there's some rhinos on the right hand side. I didn't even see them there. Rhino, these guys are white rhinos. They were originally called white rhinos in the Afrikaan language. White meaning wide because they have a wide mouth. But it got loosely translated to white over the years and it just stuck around. They're going to be the larger of the rhino species, weighing in at between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. On the left hand side, hanging out behind that mossy log, should be one or two warthogs. They are one of the largest burrowing animals. They will use a burrow left behind by another animal, or they can make their own. They will also back into their burrows, leaving their tusk at the front as a way to warn predators not to bother them. They can also run up to 35 miles per hour.
There's right there.
Yeah, one was like super close to the rest.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Help out our lovely animal friends, you can do so by doing your best to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Because when we all do our best to reduce, reuse, and recycle, the better lives our animal friends will have. And the better lives they have, the better lives we will have. And that's equally important to also make sure that we're also recycling all of our electronics, especially cell phones and computers. You can also easily donate to the Disney Conservation Fund by rounding up your merchandise purchase to the nearest dollar. Disney will match your donation dollar for dollar, and you also get a pretty nifty button. And your donation will go towards programs like the Bee and Elephant program I mentioned earlier. Our safari has come to an end. I surely hope you had a wild time and that you got to see all of the animals you were hoping to see. If you were hoping to see a particular animal but didn't see it, that's alright. You could always come back later because no two safaris are ever the same. And even though our safari has come to an end, our time together has not. Because I will be taking you back to the same dock where I picked you up at. So that may take us an extra couple minutes to make it through all the crossings. If you want to check out some other really cool animals, right where I will be dropping you off at is the Gorilla Falls Expiration Trail. It is a self-guided walking trail that the whole family can be a part of. Along the trail you should see some monkeys, birds, gorillas, meerkats, and other cool animals. Jumbo Warden! more things to do. Also nearby is the Wildlife Express train, which will take you out to Rafiki's Planet Watch. And out at Rafiki's Planet Watch, you can learn to draw some of your favorite Disney characters at the animation experience. And there's also a vet clinic with a vet window. So if there's an animal having a procedure done, you can possibly look in and see that happening. And when I say a procedure, that could be anything from as simple as a routine checkup to a emergency surgery. Also, over in Asia, just past the Kali River Rapids, is going to be the Majuro Jungle Trek. That is also a self-guided walking trail that the whole family can be a part of. Along that trail, you should see some Sumerian tigers, more birds, bats, and some other cool animals. See, we're going to be passing under a couple bridges. The first bridge we're going to pass under is going to be the one that you will eventually take to get back to the village and the rest of the park. And then the last one we will pass under is the one you pass over to get to the loading docks. Once this truck in front of us gets loaded, we will head on back to the dock where I got you guys, and you guys will be off on your next adventure. For anyone that's a wilderness explorer, you have been riding on Simba 1. That should help you out with your safari badge. Here we are back to the dock. Alright friends, we like to say Kwaherini to say goodbye, because that's how we say goodbye in Swahili. So Kwaherini friends, well, be safe and be wild, but not too wild.